Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Luchis and today I'm going to be teaching you guys how to draft, cut and sew this beautiful trendy boubou. Come with me as we start the class now. So let's go straight to drafting the pattern. The material we'll be needing for this pattern will be a whiteboard, a marker pen, a measurement tape, a square ruler, and of course a curve ruler if we need it. Okay, so I'll proceed to writing down the materials needed, the measurements needed for this. So the first thing you want to do is get your fabric. You can choose to use 4 yards, but I used 5 yards of fabric, damask fabric for this boubou. Because of the cape, I had to cut out 1 yard first for the cape. So when I cut out 1 yard, I had 4 yards left. For the 4 yards, I had to divide it into two. If you look at the style, you will know it's like a drop shoulder, asymmetric drop shoulder boubou style. Okay, so we're not going to be cutting it the way we cut a normal boubou by folding into 4. No, we're going to cut the front separately, create the style line, and then use it to cut the back. Okay, so I will be drafting the front bodies first and how we're going to take all our accurate measurements. Okay, after that, we'll use the front to cut the back. So these are the measurements we'll be needing to draft this boubou. One is your shoulder measurement, your hip measurement, knee length measurements. This knee length is from shoulder to your knee length. Your boubou length, your round sleeve. Okay, so I'll just clean this off and we'll proceed. Okay, so go ahead and fold your fabric in two, the 2 yards that you already have, fold in two, and then I'm going to be squaring a line to make it look like we have our 2 yards. Okay, so go ahead and fold your fabric in two, the 2 yards that you already have, fold in two, and then I'm going to be squaring a line to make it look like we have our 2 yards. Okay, uh sorry, this is our 2 yards unfold. My board is really small, so it can't give us the full length, it can't give us any actual accurate measurements. Assuming here to be my hip line. Okay, so from the shoulder, mark and measure the hip measurement. So the way I do it, for those who don't know how to take the measurement, you measure from your shoulder to your half length, that's your waistline, right? If it's 17 inches, wherever, from there you mark your 9 inches. So from your half length, mark 9 inches. So this is going to be labeled hip, our hip line. So the next measurement is going to be your knee measurement. So this knee measurement, your knee length measurement, minus 2 inches if the person is not very tall, or 3 inches if the person is very tall. The reason for this is because you don't want any discomfort around the knee. Okay, so I came up with 3 inches for this client. Okay, 3 inches. So this becomes our knee length. Now you have to also mark the point where the slit opening is gonna stop. Okay, so but before then I have to mark out 1.5 inches. So this is my center front. Okay, I'm going to be marking 1.5 inches. This 1.5 inches for that slit opening. So when we're done with this drafting, I'm going to illustrate this thing on a different fabric and show us how to sew or join it. Okay, so you can use 1 inch here, you can use 1.25. It all depends on how many inches you feel very comfortable closing your slit with. Okay, for some persons I think this 1.5 is too much, because most times I like to use 1 inch because of my hem gum, so that when I iron it covers everything. But 1.5 inches, okay. So when you've done that, mark your shoulder measurement. So for the shoulder, for this customer's client's shoulder is 7.5. You mark 7.5 here. Okay, the neck line is 3 inches by 3 inches for the front, 3 inches by 3 inches for the front. You connect with your curve ruler like so. Okay, then for the shoulder slope, come down 1 inch at the edge of this fabric. Okay, come down with 1 inch and slope your shoulder. This is Okay, so it's time to impute our measurements. For the hip measurements, okay, I'll divide my hip in by 4. Whatever it gives me, I'll add 5 inches to it. So this is 44 hip measurements divided by 4 give us 11. 11 plus 5 is 16, right? So you're gonna mark 16 inches. But like I said, if I use all my tape, it might not even get to 16. So I'll just assume that measurement. Okay, so let's say here is 16. I'll square this 16 down all the way to the hemline. That's the length of my fabric. Okay, so I'll take it all the way down to the length like so. Okay, so the next measurement will be your round sleeve. For this client's round sleeve measurement, her round sleeve is 12 inches. Now I'm going to be marking the 12 inches here, unlike the way we divide by 4. So I'll mark the 12 inches so that when I join front and back, I'll be having 24. But because there's going to be elastic, you can decide to add extra 2 inches, which will give us 14. So I'll assume that this is my 14 inches measurements. Okay, this 14 inches. So from this 14 inches, I'm going to be connecting. So we don't need this, right? We're going to be connecting from here the shape of our, so we're going to be connecting the shape of our cow. I don't know if I should adjust this way. Okay, I think it's perfect this way. Okay, we're going to be adjusting the shape of our cow. You know that the cow neck goes like this. So let's say this is my arm. Then I'll create the cow like this. Sorry, like so, to give me the cow effect. So I'm gonna be cleaning this one up. Okay, so you should have something like this. So most times when I use a rough sketch, I then go ahead to use my square ruler to give me a defined shape. Okay, so this is all you'll be needing for this front. So basically when you're done with that, go ahead and mark your slit opening wherever it's going to stop, because you're going to be notching that point. So your slit opening, if it's going to be above the knee or below the knee, it's by your choice. So just mark at that point. The second thing you want to do is find your underbust, because this design, the inner rope is tied under the bust. So find your underbust measurement and come down with 1 inch, okay, and mark that point. Just you can just have dotted lines around there so that you know where to place your your rope from. Okay, so just mark there. So, and also to get the measurement, you have to divide your round under bust measurement divided by 4. So whatever it gives you, that's where you're going to mark. So let's say it gives us 6 or whatever, just mark at that point. Okay, so that when you open this, so now the next thing you want to do is to impute your sewing seam allowance. So on the neckline, I'm going to be adding ½ inch sewing allowance. On the shoulder, I'm going to be adding ½ inch sewing allowance as well. Okay, so I'll go ahead to cut this pattern the way it is. Then I'll go and I'll open it up, like the full front. I'm going to open it up and I'll show us what it looks like. So guys, this is what you're going to have basically when you finish cutting. Don't forget that the center front is going to be slit open. So go ahead and stitch the center front with your 1 inch or 1.5 inch whatsoever before you spread open like this. Okay, so when you stitch that area, you can use a loose sewing or whatever, however you want to stitch it. Sew and stop at the knee length. Okay, however you do your opening, but we'll still go ahead and sew this because I need to show you guys how on the sewing machine how to join this boubou. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is come to the shoulder. So now you decide where you want the drop shoulder to go. You want it on the left or you want it on the right. I did mine on the left, so let's assume this is my left side. Okay, this is my shoulder. So from center front, 7.5 inch, from center front, 7.5 inch. Okay, so because I want it on this side, I'm going to be working with this. Now don't forget that our basic neckline here is 3 inches. Okay, and this tie line, the neckline is not like directly on the shoulder. Okay, it's not directly on the shoulder, so I will be opening up with another 1 inch. Okay, so on this towards the right hand, I'll come out with 1 inch. Okay, because I want to widen the shoulder a little bit, sorry, the neckline a little bit. Okay, so that's about that. The next thing we want to do is go back to the left where the asymmetric is. That is where the major work is, right? So on this shoulder, right, you want to mark you want to mark 2 inches outward. Now, the 2 inches, don't forget that this is the tip, your shoulder tip, meaning that this is the extent you want the drop shoulder to fall, right? So if you want it more, you can do 3 inches, but don't exceed 2 or 3 inches because you don't want it too wide. Okay, so just mark 2 inches or 2.5 or between 2 to 3 inches. You mark that here, right? So now we're going to be connecting from these 2 inches to this 4 inch, like our new neckline. So we're going to be cleaning this one, right? We don't need it anymore. So I'll be connecting. You can use your ruler. So I'll connect it like this to this point. So this becomes our new neckline. We're going to be eliminating this. Okay, you see, so this side opens more than this part. So now the next thing you want to do, from these 2 inches, this 2 inches extension from here, you have to go and mark your round sleeve measurements. Remember the round sleeve we use here, because of elastic we added 2 inches. We're not going to be adding anything here. So the round sleeve is 12 what's it called, 12 inches divided by 2, right? That will give us what, 6. You can add 1 inch extra for, for ease. You don't want it to be too tight. Okay, and that is it. Okay, so the next thing you want to do is you have to create the style line here. The style line here is different from the one here. Okay, so this sleeve is going to be eliminated. All you just need to do is connect. I don't know how to position myself. Okay, connect from this part like this, like in a so you have to, like, don't make it too curvy this way. Then for this part, because of that style line, if you look at it very well, it's acting as though it has a pocket. You can decide to come in more just to give you more effects around that area. Okay, if you want that. If you want it moderate, you can use this one. Okay, so let's see. We are working with this because I know I curved mine very well. So this is what you're gonna have. Okay, so this is all about the pattern. We'll go ahead and cut this, and we'll use it to cut the back. Okay, the back doesn't have no opening, slit, anything. We'll just place it and cut the back. So I'll go ahead and cut this and show us before we go straight to the sewing machine to go and join it, because I need to show you guys how to join this. So I'm about joining the center front. Okay, so this is my slit opening. This is where it stops, so I'm gonna start sewing from that point. Okay, all the way up. Guys, this is what the front looks like right now. This is my slit opening. This is the drop shoulder part. I think I mistakenly cut the style line on to the right, but it doesn't matter, whatever. Okay, so we're gonna place this on the back. We'll use the remaining 2 yards that we left for the back to use to cut the back. Okay, so you just place your fabric like this. Like I said, I'm using this satin fabric for tutorial purposes. If you do this, your booboo is gonna come out really, really, really nice. Okay, so just place it front facing front. Okay, I'm not going to worry about the length of the booboo. Feels like, so we're gonna place this like this, and then we cut the back out, and trying to place this properly. Okay, so make sure you don't make this mistake I made. Okay, if the style line is going to be on the left, be very calculative. Okay, it's because this is for tutorial purpose and I did not pay attention so much, and when I cut it to the right. Okay, so this is me cutting So this is the drop shoulder area. You want to pin. I love to pin my fabrics down because I love neat finishing. So make sure that you pin down. So we're going to be joining the drop shoulder area. Okay, when we join this part, we'll go ahead and join just the shoulder on this side, because don't forget that this part has elastic and it also has a pleat. Okay, so I'll join here and then join the shoulder and we'll come back. Okay, so let's join this. So I'm going to be sewing on 1/2 inch sewing allowance. So you join all the way to your hemline. So for this part, we're just gonna join the shoulder. So guys, I've gone ahead to iron, open, just iron your seam line. So I've ironed the shoulder on this side, and this is the side. Okay, you know this is a satin, so it's not going to drape like the mask. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is to create the pleats on this where we have elastic. Okay, so first and foremost, come down with, don't forget that we open our neckline with 4 inches and our shoulder measurement is 7.5, so we have like 3.5 inches left here. You don't want the pleats to be falling off your shoulder. Okay, so you can mark 2 inches and start your pleat from there. Don't forget that your pleats should fall over this way. Okay, so now just mark that 2 inches. You can use your pin to secure it. Okay, so now also decide how open you want the elastic, the space you want to give around the elastic. So most times shouldn't be more than 2-3 inches. Okay, so because of this pattern, I'll just do 1.5. So you can do 2 or 3 inches. So what you want to do is split from that, but this pleating is, you know, as desired, as much as you want. Okay, so when you pleat, pin it down and run a stitch on it. So you're going to be stitching, so guys, I've gone ahead to iron this neatly. As you can see, it's very neat. Okay, so this is the front and then this is the back. Now I iron this side, don't forget I iron this part, and I also iron the shoulder where we have the elastic. Okay, so for the elastic, now you want the pleats around this side to be on your shoulder. It shouldn't be falling off your shoulder. It definitely will fall, but not like, you have to know your measurements. So our opening, neck opening is 4 inches, and don't forget that our shoulder measurement is 7.5. Okay, so what we have left is 3.5 on our shoulder. So I want my pleats to, you know, fall around my shoulder, not falling off my shoulder. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay, so I'll use 1.5 or 2 inches. I'll just start my pleat from there. Okay, so now the space you leave here is as desired. You know, if you want to create more space, it's your choice. So go ahead and pleat as you want, or depending on, you know, the space or the measurement you have. So most times 2 pleats is more than enough. Okay, so this is what you're gonna do. You pin down and then pin down, and then we're going to run a stitch. Let's run my pins. Yeah, we're going to run a stitch from, this is your shoulder line, from your shoulder line, 2 inches, 2 inches, or 1.5 inches, 1.5 inches, as you desire. Most times go ahead and iron. So but for tutorial purpose and time, I don't want this video to be too long, so I'll just go ahead and match at the tip. Okay, so like I said, you can iron it or you can just stitch on it. So pardon me that I'm using a blue a blue thread on this fabric. um, I don't normally do that. Okay, so I also match on this other line, on the other pleat rather. Okay, okay, this is what you have around this side. So go ahead and, so for the elastic, all you need to do is your round sleeve minus 4 inches from the elastic is what you're going to pass here. So go ahead and fold these parts. Okay, most time you can weave and fold to pass your elastic. Okay, that's about that. Then for the other side where we have, so this is our, if you remember, this is our round sleeve opening. Okay, we've closed all this part. So I'll go ahead and fold this. I'll go ahead and fold this section like this. So let's assume I weaved it, or you can fold it twice if you want, for if you want it to be very neat. Okay, so I'll just fold it tiny. Just fold it. Okay, so far this is what we have. I just pinned these parts. Okay, let's take it to the, so far this is what we have. Okay, you can see the style is coming out, but because this is a satin, it's not really draping as much as such. Okay, so what I did was I just pinned this tip because that's how we're going to be tacking it. Okay, so you see the design, the that's effect, pocket looking effect is here. Okay, so but when you cut it on a bigger fabric, you have more of that effect. Okay, so what we're gonna do now is, okay, after I've done this fabric is stiff, it's not giving me the effect that I want, but you know, so go ahead and pin this tip. Remember this tip, just pin here down, and you're going to have that pocket looking effect. Now this is not happening because this fabric is small and it's not yeah, so but if you push it in, obviously you can see that effect here, right? Okay, this is exactly what you're gonna get. So the next thing we're gonna do is take the measurements, the neckline measurements, and go straight to cutting the cape. Okay, so that would be another part. And then when you've done that, don't forget to go back and stitch this section. Okay, and then we'll put the collar and we're done. So the cape is the next thing you want to cut. Don't forget that we removed 1 yard already for this cape. So what you want to do is fold the fabric into 4. I'm going to show you what to do. So let's say this is your fabric, your 1 yard. Okay, first fold the first time. This is the first folding. Okay, you fold it the first time, then you fold it the second time because you're cutting both fabric and lining. Okay, so the measurement for my, yeah, so the measurement for my cape is the round, that's the round neckline, is 21 inches. Okay, so when I folded, if you fold your 1 inch into 4, you should be having, I mean the lengthwise, you should be having up to 28 to 30 inches. Okay, you know the fabrics most times they come by 60. So my measurements, my neckline is 21, so I'll go ahead and measure 21 from here. So let's say this is 21. Okay, that's 21 there. On this part I'll measure 15 inches or 13 inches. This depends on how wide you want the collar to be. Okay, and from here to here is going to be 5 inches. Don't use 4 inches. 4 inches is too small. Okay, don't use 4 inches. So what you want to do is connect your 21 inches. This is the length of your, like, your round neckline, the new round neckline. So you want to connect this to this, and then you connect this like so. So like I said, measure your neckline, whatever you get. So mine is 21, the round neckline. 21, I mark 21. The extension should be like that. The difference between this point and the pointed edge should be most times between 5 inches. So if you're having 21 here, maybe you can use 26 inches as your length. Let's say 26 inches is here, right? Then on that 26 inches, you can mark like 13, 14. This depends on how wide you want the design around the cape to be. Okay, so on this upper part, come in or come out with 5 inches. You can make it 6 inches. Don't forget that it's going to be on fold. So by the time it's on fold, to be like 2.5 inches. Okay, so you decide what you want. So 6 inches too is accurate. So what I'm going to do is I'll do as though I'm squaring this down, and then I'll connect it to the style line. Okay, yeah, sorry, to the style line like so. Okay, you can use your curve ruler, and then here should be like a straight line to this part. You can design it, you can create any style line you want. So we'll go ahead and cut this. Because I used the mask, there was no need to iron hairstay on it. So I'll use the fabric to cut this, and then I'll show us how to fix it. Okay guys, so I cut one side, but you're supposed to have two pieces of this. Okay, you can iron gum on it if you want. So place on the pleated area, that is like your center front. That's, see, I notched my center. Okay, I notched my center, as you can see. So I'll place it from the pleated sleeve, and I'll pin it all the way to the other end. Okay, I'll pin it all the way to the other end. I'll do the same thing for the other side, and I'll sew it. So basically I stitched uh from the center here to one side. I'm going to show you how I'm going to stitch the other side. Okay, so just use this method, it will work. You will love your boubou. The boubou is so beautiful. So this is your center front. Make sure you chip this out so that it lays very well. So like I said earlier, I basically just used only one side of this. Okay, I used only one side. You see how the cape is falling neatly. So what you want to do, this part that is open, just go and notch it. Okay, this side, notch it neatly, notch it neatly. So this is how your cape is gonna fall. This is how it's gonna fall. So find these parts. You see, I'm not notching it with the cape. Okay, just stitch them together, just at the tip or this way. Just match them together. Make sure you're not stitching on the cape, just on the sleeve. Okay, just on the sleeve, and you're good to go. The next thing you want to do is, for me, I didn't weave. Okay, so this is like tutorial. I didn't really weave. What I did was I had to cut two of this, and I used it to neatly sew the inside. Okay, but you can weave yours and top stitch, and it's still okay. And this is basically all you need to do to get this boubou design. Go ahead, hem the line, close your side seam, and you're done.